Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 154 of the Wise Guy Sports Show here on the Wise Guys YouTube channel. And James, we are back to our pre-recorded format as we had our wonderful live event last Friday night, and we spent really three-quarters of the show reminiscing about the 2016 Cavaliers championship, the improbable 3-1 comeback against the 73-9 Golden State Warriors, and then discussed some of the videos coming out of the trip that they all went on. Here's one. I saw a TikTok today, and it was a picture of all the guys, and the caption says, "Hey Dad, who's the random white guy in this picture?" And it was Delhi. And then the next clip of it starts running highlights from the 15 finals when he was on Steph like a fat kid on a cupcake. So that was my guy on that team. So it brought great joy to my heart, especially when you saw the video of Delhi and Shump getting there. That was wonderful. But, we said that night, Jim, that we were done with the NBA and the NHL. And then all of a sudden, in the words of Sean Wayans in the first Scary Movie, but wait, there's more.
You know what they did? You know what they did to us? They decided we wanted a little bit of peace and quiet. And you know what both the NBA and the NHL did to us?
What'd they say?
No sleep for you.
No sleep for you. So you see, we're going to start with the NBA tonight, and we see the first thing on there is the biggest stupid non-kept secret in the NBA has finally happened, as Jimmy Haslam has basically sabotaged another franchise. The owner of the Browns sending Myles Garrett earlier this month to the Los Angeles Rams for I don't know what, a ball boy and an extra ball. And then he now sends Giannis Antetokounmpo to South Beach and gets him out of Milwaukee. Jim, what was in the package for Giannis outside of Tyler Hero, of course, who was the main piece that went back to Milwaukee?
The package included Giannis and Bobby Porter Jr. to Miami for Jamie Jaquez Jr., Tyler Hero, Kalel Ware, Kasparas Jakusonis, an unprotected first in 2031 and 2033, a 2030 pick swap, a 2033 second, and the number 13th overall pick in Monday's draft that was actually used to select Tennessee forward Nate Ament.
I mean, Jim, we all expected him to move, though, right?
Yeah, but also keep in mind that, with all these picks and everything, and the trade can't be finalized until July 6th, that there's also still a possibility this trade could get larger, because remember last year we had one deal that ended up ballooning to a 7-team deal by the time it was finalized 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that was insanity. Well, we only got about a week, because as crazy as it sounds, July 4th is a week from tomorrow or Saturday. Unreal. So yeah, we do have July 4th coming up, the 6th being that Monday. Jim, your first thoughts on this deal and its impact in the Central Division of the NBA?
It makes absolutely no bearing, because Giannis played less than 40 games last season. He was often hurt. Load management and everything aside, be damned. This was going to end up making them probably the third, if not fourth best team in the division, even if he doesn't move. Yes, he is a former finals MVP. Yes, he is a former league MVP. Yes, he has a championship. Something that nobody on the Cleveland Cavaliers can actually, tout. Nobody on the Detroit Pistons can tout. He is still a top 10 player in the NBA, but he is also 31 years old and damaged goods right now. Where is Miami going this year? Simple answer is, survey says nowhere.
He's going nowhere.
Where are the Milwaukee Bucks going anywhere? Survey says not a damn place.
No, they're not. They really aren't. And I have to say this again. This was not a secret. He was getting out of there. I thought the deal with Boston and Jaylen Brown going to Milwaukee would have been better for both teams. I think immediately Giannis being 1A to Jason Tatum would have helped him more. No disrespect to Mr. What's his wife's name? Reigning WNBA MVP.
Bam.
I was looking for her name so I can call him Mrs. Mr. Like we're going to do to Travis in a few weeks. But yeah, he's still number one. Bam would be his 1A. Not that Bam's a bad player. I love Bam Adebayo. I think he's a great player. Giannis needs a guard. That's one thing that the Miami Heat do not have because they gave up their guard in Tyler Hero. That could carry a load for Giannis and play off him. The only thing Miami can do now is try and coax Chris Paul out of retirement, which ain't happening.
Right. And that was Asia Wilson that was eluding us.
Yes. So sorry, Asia, if you ever see this, I apologize that I remembered your husband's name and not yours when you're the better player. Having said that, I think this is a try to be a hard reset for Milwaukee, but it's not going to get them anywhere. They're going to fall into the Bucks pre-Ray Allen category now. I think Pat Riley made a very shrewd move for ticket sales.
There's a little bit of truth to that. But if we look at some of the other things, it wasn't the only major trade that was involved. Is there was another blockbuster that was announced earlier today as LaMelo Ball is on his way to Minnesota. So the Timberwolves get LaMelo Ball and forward Josh Green. The Hornets get forward Naz Reid, an unprotected 2033 first, 3 first-round pick swaps in 2028, 29, and 30, and then 3 second-round picks in 29, 32, and 33. Everyone's actually saying this is a D-plus move for Minnesota. It's a C or a B- at best for Charlotte. With Ball's injury history, it's not really helping anything. Him and Ant, on paper would be a great backcourt, but it's now you got head case A and head case B. It's thing 1 and thing 2.
I like that reference. I think it comes down to, can they coexist? I don't know that they can. Ant is a very strong personality. LaMelo is one of the balls. I mean, it's not a shock that he was moved this relatively quickly in his career from the team that drafted him.
What did you say? What did you say?
He's a ball. He's a ball.
Yes.
Do you think
it's working again?
This means LaMelo won't be able to find the clit anymore?
What do she fucks?
And for those who don't know, that was me. So all kidding aside, I don't think that move does much other than give Ant a point guard that he can play off of. They also dealt somebody to the Nets. The former Knick, Julius Randle.
Yes.
Was dealt to the Nets. That's mean, dude. They let him go from the Knicks. The Knicks win a title and then they sent him to Brooklyn. That's fucked up.
Yeah. So that move is the Nets get the 33rd overall pick, Mamadou Gueye. The Bulls get Nick Claxton, and then the Nets get Julius Randle and the 28th pick. So, which actually means, according to ESPN, 2 years after they acquired Randle and DiVincenzo, DiVincenzo's out with a torn ACL. Towns won a championship, and Randle's not even there anymore.
No, this was a very lopsided trade. And when it comes to NBA trades, a lot of the NBA trades end up being halfway decent. I think the last real lopsided NBA trade I can remember was when Minnesota sent Kevin Love for Andrew Wiggins.
Mike, while we've only got another couple of moments here in this segment, speaking of Minnesota, does this actually just add fuel to the fire with them? As for what I told you I saw on social media earlier this week, are the Knicks? I'm sorry, are not the Knicks? Are the because they're not there and not that anymore? Are the Timberwolves the most snake bit franchise in the NBA? The Cavs have a championship. The Knicks, the Wolves have never really been close. And think of it, uh, Kevin Love gets traded, goes and wins a championship. Kevin Garnett leaves, goes and wins a championship. Carl Anthony Towns leaves, goes and wins a championship. There was a fourth one in there that I mentioned to you the other day, left and went and won a championship.
Oh, Minnesota. Who was it? KG, Kevin Love, Cat. Who was the fourth? I don't remember. Because Marbury never won one.
Right. Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, he won one in Golden State, right?
Right.
That's right. I mentioned Andrew Wiggins. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting dichotomy of the Minnesota Timberwolves right there, that they may be one of the more snake picking franchises. And again, I said this to you on the phone. I would have thought it was the Knicks before last week.
He had in Jimmy Butler, who forced his way out, and then the very next season goes to the finals with Miami.
Yeah, he's been in the finals twice with Miami, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So real quick, just go through the rest of the NBA before we get segment so we can wrap this up. The highest dollar value contract to an undrafted player was signed just yesterday, right? As the Los Angeles Lakers ink Austin Reeves to a max contract to stay with Dirk, because we don't know what Braun's doing. He spent an extra few weeks with his boys from Cleveland. Could you fucking imagine if they make the deal and send Mobley to Boston and bring in Jaylen Brown, jettison the beard, and bring LeBron back to run the point?
They're still second round and out because everybody in the conference has passed them by.
I don't think so. Not with the guy who makes everybody around him better. And if you're going to elevate Donovan Mitchell and Jaylen Brown, if that's the move that's made. Remember, you bring Jaylen Brown in.
Is Donovan Mitchell worth a max contract? Is he worth $70 million?
Yes.
No.
You're
not even. He is a top 20 player in the NBA.
Then I'll ask you the question. Who's your get?
It doesn't matter. I'm saying,
but if Donovan doesn't
he's worth the extension, he's not worth a max. He's not worth a super max. That's for damn sure.
I don't disagree with you there, but again, it comes down to you got to give him what's going to get him to stay. And if you let him go, there's a hard reset. That's just get rid of everybody.
So last thing, the NBA draft was earlier this week, a 2-night affair. The number one overall pick, AJ DiBentasa from BYU, goes number one to the Washington Wizards, who are now trying to retool everything. Even after opting out, as we discussed last week, Trae Young is going to re-sign with them. Darren Peterson, the star guard from Kansas, goes number 2 to Utah. Cameron Boozer goes to the new look Grizzlies at 3. Caleb Wilson from North Carolina goes to Chicago at 4. Keaton Wagler, the guard from Illinois, goes to the Clippers at 5. Michael Brown Jr. goes to the Nets at 6. Darius Acuff, arguably one of the steals of the top 10, the guard from Arkansas, goes to Sacramento, hopefully looking to kind of retool and dig themselves out of the hole with the with the entire De'Aaron Fox ordeal. Kingston Flemings, the guard from Houston, goes to Atlanta at 8. Morez Johnson Jr., the forward from Michigan, goes 9 to the Mavericks. Braden Bryles, the guard from Arizona, goes 10 to Milwaukee. And then the one scary thing that everyone's talking about, the one person that you didn't want to see fall to where they went, Yaxel Lendenberg, the star defensive forward from Michigan, goes to Golden State right outside the top 10 at 11. That's the last thing you want to do is you want to put one of the arguably the best defensive player in the draft to the most defensive minded team in the draft.
Yeah, and that's interesting. You mentioned the kid from Michigan going to the Mavericks. I wonder if that was done on purpose. As Dusty May has taken the Mavericks job, he is leaving after winning a national title at Michigan, and he will now be an NBA head coach. I don't know much about Dusty May. Obviously, I don't care for his former employer. Having said that, he won a title. And I don't know, Jim. I don't know if he gets Cooper Flagg. He gets one of his players that he had in that was a key cog to his run to a national title. I don't know. College coaches going to the pros, you don't really see a whole lot of success. Yeah, you've had Brad Stevens, I think, was the one who got
Brad
closest to a
Stevens, Billy
championship.
Donovan for a little while, yeah.
Yeah, but Billy never got to a finals, did he?
No, really not even close.
Wait.
But he's been Quinn Snyder was another one who's actually hung around for a long time as a head coach.
Was Billy the head coach of that of the OKC team that went to the finals against LeBron?
I have to look at that. He might have been. Uh 2015 to 2020. I believe that fell in that window. Yep.
No, it didn't. It was 2012.
Okay. Yeah, he was still at Florida winning, national championships back then.
Yeah.
But I kind of like Dusty May because even before, remember, Dusty May took the Michigan job after getting Florida Atlantic of all teams to the Final Four.
Very
So
true.
he's definitely a winner. He's got a lot of he's got such a track record of winning. It would be a lot like if Mark Few ever made the jump when we know that Mark Few is only going to take a couple more years at Gonzaga and right off into the sunset.
Yeah, I guess it's just, how you say there's never a first round running back in the NFL draft?
Right.
I think I'm that way with college coaches going into the NBA. It just, to me, it seems like a lot of the time the transition's a little much for them. However, with the NIL now, it's more of a pro league anyway, so we'll see what happens. But good luck to Dusty.
Mike, we said the NBA was a little nuts with some of the moves that we saw. The NHL decided to say, hold my beer, hold my poutine, hold every drop of Molson in the country, and let's just get fucking nuts.
Hold my Tim Hortons, eh?
Considering I love me some Tim Hortons. So,
I do too. I ordered it for the office.
So we've seen, whereas the deals in the NBA can't be finalized until the 6th, the NHL, they're already starting to announce these deals. And when we're recording this, it's Thursday night, June the 25th. Yes, you are reading that correctly. The St. Louis Blues have moved enough players and acquired enough capital that they have 4 first-round picks in tomorrow night's draft. So to break down a few of these moves, the first one that really got the ball rolling here with the entire trade season, the Maple Leafs acquired Darren Radish from Tampa Bay for a 5th-round pick this weekend, then proceed to sign him to an 8-year, $68 million extension to bolster up their blue line. Tampa Bay knew that they were going to end up losing Radish. Became a little bit more expendable. He was definitely looking for a lot more than what he was and it's going to kind of run as a common theme with some of the other names we're going to bring up here in a few moments. I do like the move for the Leafs to be able to kind of bolster their attack a little bit more, but now they've also got to start turning their attention towards putting enough of a team together. Even if they manage to hold on to the number one pick tomorrow night, if St. Louis decides that they're not going to give Toronto 4 first-round picks to go up and get Gavin McKenna, number one overall, who's the consensus number one. But guess what? Gavin McKenna is going back to Michigan State next year. He's already set.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting run that they're going at. Now, Jim, with 4 first-round picks in the NHL draft, because I'm not as well versed in the NHL draft, could they do a hard reset of the franchise here, or are we talking this is fodder for one player or maybe two?
That's actually that's a very good point. And I was actually going to bring that up here, not even so much just to get into Blues talk, but it's a very, very strange dichotomy that we've got for a team to have, that many picks in the first round. Plus, also they've got 13 picks overall in tomorrow night's draft, starting tomorrow night. Another move that was the reason why the Blues have 4 first round picks is the other major move that was actually made was Jordan Kyrou, their star forward, traded to Washington for the 16th overall pick. So now this means the Blues have 11, 15, 16, and 29 tomorrow. They also end up getting Connor McMichael. No, not McDavid. Connor McMichael put out the same production as Kyrou. He's 3 years younger, makes $5 million less. Washington is picking up all of Kyrou's $8.125 million over the course of the next 5 years on that contract, and Kyrou waives his no trade clause to be able to go match up with to pair up with Alex Ovechkin. But Washington was not done. So another major move that involved another team that I follow, the Buffalo Sabres. We've talked at length during their playoff run. Their biggest concern was going to be try to sign hometown boy and hometown hero Alex Tuch. Tuch ends up deciding he wants too much money. He's looking for at least 8, 9, maybe 10 million. Buffalo's not willing to do that, even though they've got the cap room. So Washington does a sign and trade with Buffalo. Buffalo gets a 3rd round pick for this weekend. Tuch then signs an 8-year, 84 million, which is 10.5 average value, to go to Washington. So now you've got Kyrou, Ovechkin, and Tuch all next year. I don't know whether you're going to play them on the same line or not, or move some pieces around. You've got you've got certainly the greatest goal scorer in history, who's still putting up great numbers, who's going to be 41. You've got Tuch coming into his prime at 31, and you've got Kyrou at 28, who a lot of people say with this type of offense is going to be a 40 goal scorer next year. Mike, is Washington going to possibly make the run that people were hoping Pittsburgh would have made last year and send Ovi off into the sunset with a deep run?
I think that's exactly why they made those moves. They want to give Ovi one more shot at another cup and then let him ride off into the sunset, a la Clayton Kershaw, who did it with the Dodgers last year, or, Peyton Manning, John Elway, guys like that.
Right.
I will say this. If that is what they end up doing, I will root for that, because it's Ovi. I mean, Ovi, he's always been a class act. Granted, he was a Russian spy at ESPN, but still, that's neither here nor there. Now, what I am interested in, Jim, with the draft, and just going back to your Blues for a second.
Yeah.
Is the NHL the only league that allows this?
Well, I mean, we know that the Jets have 3 first round picks coming up next spring, where I guess the NFL just announced that the draft is going to be April 29th through May 1st next year. I think they announced that earlier today. But I mean, I've seen teams have 3 first round picks before. I think the Blues even had it. I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago when they started stripping off some assets. There's also some talk that the Blues may end up moving the other star forward, Robert Thomas, break this whole thing down. Jordan Binnington's name is a name that's getting thrown around after winning a cup, but people got to remember now, Binnington, I want to say, is 32 or 33 years old, is expecting 6.1 million, and they've already the Blues are starting to transition him, out of being the number one, and Joel Hofer started to take over as the number one. This is definitely something where I could see that the Blues could probably end up getting a couple of guys if they take a couple of those picks and use them. Sure, they may not actually be ready to join up with the big club next year, but they could certainly put them down in Springfield in the AHL. They could put them in Worcester, their new ECHL affiliate. A couple of them could end up going back to their junior or college teams for a year, get another year of seasoning. This way they know they can actually kind of elevate their game. They don't have to worry about pushing their game to secure their draft spot because their rights are already now owned by the Blues. And this was, I think, just one more way of, you know, longtime general manager Doug Armstrong trying to throw a monkey wrench into the NHL on his way out the door, as he's going to now become president of hockey operations as of July 2nd. And the general manager position is going to be taken over by longtime Blues veteran Alex Steen, 2019 Cup winner, who's actually been an assistant to the general manager for the last 2 years and is being groomed. Um, could this also mean that St. Louis is actually looking to package 2, 3, if not all 4 of these picks to again maybe get up into the top 10? Are they looking to maybe take a couple of those picks and ship them off to Dallas to maybe get Jason Robertson, which would be which would probably set the whole NHL on its ear because Robertson's a top 10 player in this league.
Yeah, I mean, they've having the draft capital in the first round seems to be the way to go to try and get a quick rebuild done. St. Louis winning a cup 7 years ago, it's now, wants to win another one. But the question is, do you try and rebuild it or do you reload it? I'm a bring them up and let them play type of person. So if they got to rebuild it, I don't see a problem with that.
Mhm.
The only thing I do see is I don't think they should move anything to get higher into the draft. You've got 4 picks in the middle of the round. Those are still 4 quality players that you can have the draft rights to, whether they go back to school or their junior teams, or you send them to the ECHL, the AHL, however you want to do it. I think you take the quantity and the quality of where the picks are. If it's me, that's what I would do to really rebuild a roster that, quite honestly, if I remember you telling me correctly, they kind of underachieved last year for what they had done in the offseason.
A little bit, yeah, they did
A
underachieve
little
for
bit.
the moves that they made. They stayed pat at the deadline. But by the time actually the standings all shook out, the Blues only ended up missing out on the playoffs by 4 points. They really love what they're getting out of first year player Jimmy Snuggerud, who made the NHL's all rookie team. Remember, he got a little bit of playing time in that great playoff series against Winnipeg in the first round a couple of years ago, where Winnipeg had the President's Trophy, and then really came on last year. The Blues, there's a lot of talk. We got to throw Colton Parayko's name in there as looking to get moved. Remember, he was supposed to get moved to Buffalo, and then Knicks did, and then Buffalo goes on their run. How bad does that look? There's a lot of rumors going around that says that Parayko could end up getting moved as early as maybe tomorrow. To there's teams throwing out San Jose, Philadelphia. Will he waive his no trade clause? I mean, there's people thinking that after Braden Shen got moved at the trade deadline last year to the New York Islanders, who are still in the middle of their rebuild, that Parayko could end up being the next captain later this year at 33 years old. So it's a very strange predicament for the Blues. But Mike, a couple more things here, and I'm going to let you decide. What was the bigger trade here involved with the 2 other major blockbuster moves that we saw? Brady Tkachuk, the captain of the Ottawa Senators, is no longer an Ottawa Senator. He is now a Florida Panther, as he will team up with his brother, Matthew. He goes to the Sens, flip him to Florida for the 9th and the 25th overall pick tomorrow night. And then the Sens end up taking that 9th pick and flip it to San Jose for William Eklund.
I think the Eklund part is bigger to me. We talked about after the Olympics that I thought Brady Tkachuk was getting well, they were going to send Brady Tkachuk out of Canada. Um, I understand you were excited because you won a gold medal, but that country was paying your bills, dude. And you went
Yeah.
and did that. I told you after the Olympics, I said he's gone. They're getting rid of him, captain or not. He's going to be out of Ottawa so fast his head's going to spin. And now here he is, he's playing with his brother. So let's see. I mean, have you seen brothers on the same team before in the NHL? I think we have.
The Courtnalls were in St. Louis. There were I want to say the Verbeeks were in Hartford. The Plagers in St. Louis. St. Louis has got a history of running brothers. They've
Okay.
there were the Bergeron brothers, together for a little while, and we're going to talk about a Bergeron here in a couple of moments. But the other major move is that um the Chicago Blackhawks might be the dumbest team in hockey, and there's a reason why they've been in the cellar lately. The we know that the Sabres moved Alex Tuck. Big loss for them, I think. It's they're gonna miss his production, but Buffalo's really come on. And I think it's gonna be a place where Buffalo's gonna end up landing a couple of really good free agents once that opens because you're just seeing all the trades. You're not seeing the free agent moves. But a player that they acquired at a deadline a couple of years ago, Bowen Byram, was going to be asking for a big contract. Byram then gets moved with Jordan Greenway and his bloated contract sitting on the fourth line. The Chicago Blackhawks trade defenseman Louis Crevier, who's a good young talent, has got the potential of being a backline center, the 45th pick, which is going to be on Saturday, and number 4 overall tomorrow night for Byram and Greenway. Buffalo just unloads about $8 to $9 million worth of payroll, has all this great young talent that we saw what they did. Jarmo Kekalainen decided to fucking fleece Chicago. This might be the biggest fleecing I've seen in probably 15 years involving draft picks.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like they got very much. And again, it's the Blackhawks. They're immoral idiots.
Yeah.
And they deserve whatever they get. I don't think Connor Hellebuck's going to save them. I don't think these moves they made are going to save them, but I like where Buffalo's going. I love the fact they got in the playoffs last year. I love the fact they're trying to build this thing, not just to go next year, but for the long term. It's something the Sabres haven't really tried to do for many, many years.
Right.
So I'm excited about that, especially for you. I know you're a long-suffering Sabres guy as well. Even though the only jersey I see up right now is the Islanders one.
Yeah, I got the Blues up there as well. So,
but
can
we talk a little bit more about the Tkachuk thing?
We can, and then we're actually going to bring up another Tkachuk that is related in very historic news. But go right ahead.
So, I'm interested to see how they play together. I know they played together since they were kids. It's how that works. But we're talking about a team that won back-to-back Stanley Cups and came into the 25-26 season just beat to snot. If I'm not mistaken, Matthew, very few injury issues in his career.
Well, remember, Matthew did break his foot the year that they lost to Vegas in the finals, and then he actually had a pretty significant injury that kept him out most of last year.
Yeah, he did try to play through those, though, which I remember that.
Yeah.
All right, so which one it got sent from Ottawa to
Brady?
Miami? Brady. I meant to ask that about Brady. Matthew, I'm starting to remember that he did have the injury issues. What about Brady? What is his injury history like?
Not really, from what I can actually remember here. But also now you've got both Tkachuk brothers and Brad Marchand. Are the Panthers now going from the darlings when they won the cup and then went back to back? Are they now the most hated team because even more than Vegas because they are now the most fucking annoying team in hockey?
No, fuck Jack Eichel.
The last bit of news we've got history, Michael. The Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2026 was announced on Monday.
Oh, cool.
Getting in four names that we are all going to be very familiar with. Patrice Bergeron, longtime captain of the Boston Bruins, arguably one of the greatest defensive forwards in history, is in the Hall of Fame. Pekka Rinne, the longtime goaltender of the Nashville Predators, is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Brian Burke, the longtime NHL head coach and executive, was elected on Monday. Cindy Curley, who was a very instrumental piece in the development of Team USA's women's program, is in as a like an administrator type thing or a builder category. And then the two names that I want to focus in on here before as we wrap up, arguably the most charitable and probably the nicest and classiest player I've ever seen in my lifetime. Carey Price is in the Hall of Fame, Michael.
Oh, it's about time. Good for Carey Price and good for that entire class, especially, we have a soft spot for women's sports on our show. We cover a lot of WNBA. We cover a lot of PWHL. The woman who helped build USA women's hockey, which has how many gold medals?
Right. And then the last
Goddamn
name,
time.
the last name that I alluded to it after so many years, Keith Tkachuk is finally a Hall of Famer.
Nice.
Big Walt got in the day after his son was traded, and now his boys are going to be paired together. I believe this actually means that this is the final member. Actually, I take that back. There are only, I want to say, 3 or 4 other players that are retired that have 500 goals or more that are not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Tkachuk was one of those. I mean, when you look at some of these, some of the other names, naturally, Ovechkin, Stamkos, Crosby, Malkin, John Tavares, they're all still playing. But Marian Hossa's name hasn't really come up very much. Pat Verbeek, I don't think, is in. Jeremy Roenick is probably the next one up on that list. But really, everybody else, I believe, is in. I think Peter Bondra might be the only other one.
You might be right. I'm not. I would like to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame just so I can go to all of them. Because I've been to Springfield, I've been to Canton, I've been to Cooperstown. I don't know though.
Yeah, I just looked up Bondra's information. 503 goals in 1,081 games. He's only one of 4 eligible 500 goal players not currently in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And he's only one of 2, along with Maurice Richard, 500 goal scorers, not on the list of NHL players with 1,000 points. He was inducted into the International Hockey Hall of Fame for his international play and his time over in Russia before he came to the NHL, and I guess going back to the KHL after his NHL days were over. But yeah, I believe that he was that Big Walt was only one of 5 with 500 or more that's not in, which you'd figure it's like 3,000 hits, it's 200 wins, it's 3,000 strikeouts. It's the automatic qualifier. And I don't know why they waited so long, because Big Walt, he never actually won a league MVP. He never played in the finals. I think he played in maybe one conference finals with Arizona one season. Never really got that close with all of his time in St. Louis. He's extremely good with the media.
Was Eddie Olczyk on the 94 Rangers?
I want to say, because I remember Eddie Olczyk mostly from his time with Pittsburgh.
We were talking about Tkachuk, and I went to Eddie Olczyk.
Yes, he was. Eddie Olczyk was part of the 94 Rangers team. He played in one game in those playoffs.
Okay. You know why I remember him? The game.
The
NHL
EA
94
Sports games.
Yeah.
So congratulations to all involved. And Mike, I got a feeling we might still be talking about the NHL before too long, because let's see how nuts it gets. Is Austin Matthews going to get moved? What else is going to happen tomorrow night at the draft? Could we be talking about this when we're back in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think the NHL is going to be like the bad penny all summer, dude.
God, I hope not. Otherwise, this means I might end up I might revive the free agency recap on the JC Blue Note channel that's been dormant for nearly a year.
Uh-oh. Are you threatening us? So, Jim, we just passed Father's Day as we wished everybody a happy Father's Day at the end of our show last Friday. But another great tradition happens that weekend every year, and that is the U.S. Open finishes on Father's Day every year. And for the second time in his career, what's his first name? Clark?
Wyndham.
Wyndham Clark wins the U.S. Open at Shinnecock. Wire to wire, if I saw correctly.
Correct. Yeah. First wire to wire champion in quite a few years.
Somebody's done it since Tiger did it in 2000, right?
I'd have to go back and look. But the talk wasn't, would he win? I'm sorry, how much would he win by? It's would he actually win at all? Because he entered the final round with a 6-shot lead and just stumbled right out of the gate playing alongside Scotty Scheffler to where the lead shrunk to 1, and he only ends with a 1-shot win over Sam Burns. He shot a final round 73. You could definitely tell it was a combination of the course and also playing with the world's number 1 player. And Scotty did not have the greatest front 9 to really put himself in contention. There were other players that made a run, but they had already started and kind of gotten out ahead of the final grouping with Clark. But Michael, that's the unfortunate fact wasn't Clark winning his second major, his second U.S. Open, and a great redemption story, because remember what he did last year at Bethpage where he destroyed that thing in the locker room and got banned.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So a great redemption story there. But then the conversation turns to the unruly and unsightly fans at Shinnecock on Long Island.
Well, look, Long Island people are just the worst. And, not for nothing, the U.S. Open being at Bethpage was a huge deal the first time because it was the first public course to host the U.S. Open. The black course at Bethpage is one of the toughest public courses in the country. And then they grow it out for the U.S. Open, and it's damn near impossible.
Right.
Having said all that, Wyndham Clark winning it was a great story. When the story turned to the stupid that is Long Island sports fans, that's when it got bad.
Right.
And that's when it got really bad, unfortunately.
Fans cheering Clark when his ball rolls off the green, because the course conditions were in such a scenario. It almost reminded you with the very high fescue grass in the second cut of rough, the way that landing the ball on the green on your approach and maybe even putting from off the green basically made it look like that there was Astroglide mixed with Vaseline and canola oil spread all over the greens, that no ball was going to stop. There would be balls that would land in the center of the green, hit the right amount of roll, and roll completely off the green. And fans cheering that when Clark did, but actually kind of staying silent when Scotty did. And I can actually understand, because Scotty was going for the career Grand Slam. He's going to have to wait until next year now for that. And I can't remember if it's at Torrey Pines next year. I got to go back and look that up. But I understand that Scotty is the number 1. There are people that you've gotten really nothing bad you can say about Scotty. regardless, even if you take the whole thing at Augusta a couple like last year or the year before completely out of it.
Yeah.
The incident with the fan in the car. But Scotty is just a class act. He's the world's number one for a reason. He's the best player on tour right now. Uh, there's a couple of people that might be close. Um, but for fans to kind of cheer Scotty and boo Wyndham at that point, there's 2 points that I saw on social media, and I sent you a video of one of them, and I'd like to get your opinion
Yes.
before we go to the last thing on there that's gonna eat up the majority of this, because it is truly a bombshell that the PGA
Well,
announced earlier
let's
this week.
what the
Um,
gentleman was saying in that video was that basically he does not want the PGA Tour to go back to Long Island, and he's not wrong because it doesn't happen anywhere else. Even because they do play other tournaments in New York, Long Island fans are a different bunch. Having said that, there's no place for it. Uh, you know, this isn't Happy Gilmore 2, where they're playing against that tour that where you can the green spins and they have tendons removed to make them swing harder.
right, where you're playing against, like, Becky Lynch and yeah.
And the kid from The Sixth Sense, yeah.
Yep.
Having said all that, they're not ever going to leave Long Island because of the money.
They're supposed
How
to
they
go
pay
back.
it.
They're supposed to go to Bethpage in 2033. Um, I could see something like that changing before too long if they go back to Long Island and something like this happens, especially with the last thing that we're going to talk about here in a second. But Michael, the other thing that I actually saw on this, and I didn't bring this up with you. Actually, I think I did. I think we did on the phone. Um, do a lot of these tournaments, especially the majors, does the PGA start putting in like starts telling these courses and these clubs, um, take the Augusta model, no cameras, no phones, no alcohol, and see if it starts trickling down to some of your other tournaments, which I know, I could see like Firestone doing it, TPC Sawgrass doing it, Phoenix Open Waste Management, absolutely not, because that's basically what that thing's built around. It's just, crowd reaction, especially with um, the enclosure. I want to say on that, on 16, if I'm not mistaken. Um, you know, you're not going to see this in the Royal Canadian Open. You're not going to see this in some of the other tournaments around the country. Um, but I wouldn't mind seeing this for the majors. We know it's definitely not going to be an issue when they're across the pond here in a few weeks. You're never going to see that type of reaction. You know, I mean, you might see, especially when you're talking the Ryder Cup, you're not going to see, you might see like, Europe versus US and they're kind of getting rowdy with each other. But again, that's for international bragging rights at this point. This is not.
Yeah.
Um, you're
No.
never going to see that at Royal Troon. You're not going to see it at St. Andrews.
No, you're not. And again, US crowds are different than European crowds. You have that there. Um, we're learning that Scottish crowds are the highlight of most people's social media feeds these days. But New York crowds are different. And I'll say this, it bothers me that the fans on Long Island are giving New York crowds such a bad name because we got another big New York thing coming up, the US Open in tennis, which is never like this. They're rowdy, they're loud, they're not like this.
But the other difference is with the US Open. First of all, it's a proper tournament. Golf calls theirs, tournaments. But it's more of a free flow type tournament.
Yeah.
The US Open, it's actually a tournament, and they're not really getting, the big names aren't just center court into the fourth round, the semifinals, naturally the championship on both sides. But it's also something typically that really outside of a couple of Americans, it's an internationally dominated, event. You've got, you know, Sabalenka, who basically like it's her and everybody else, even though she didn't win at Wimbledon or in Roland Garros. But it's like she goes in there with that kind of tiger mentality, is that you've already kind of psyched yourself out seeing her on the other side of the course. That's also what I'm wondering, if what happened with Wyndham Clark a little bit, that he falls back knowing he's playing with the world's number one, even as far back as Scotty started the day. Um, but is it something where this is golf evolving with the crowd, and this is not the old man's game anymore, and it's just the new crop of fans that have come in? Or is this just another instance of New York being New York, and we don't really see this anywhere else but Phoenix, which is it's a frat house in Phoenix?
Hit beast mode for me.
I'm here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, I think it's a little 6 of one, half dozen of another. But I will say this. I don't know if you can put it just on it not being the old man's game anymore, because not for nothing, it has not been the old man's game since Tiger hugged Earl Woods off 18 in 1997.
I mean, I think we've got audio from some of the crowds up there.
We are two wild and crazy guys.
How did I know you were going to go there?
The last thing we'll talk about here with regards to golf is, and I keep burying the lead, but it is true that the PGA Tour announced earlier this week that the PGA Tour, as we know it in 2028, is completely changing. Um, we basically now have Champions League golf. And I don't know if this is something coming out of the fallout of Live potentially going under here in the next couple of months, but the PGA is now establishing what they call the Championship Series. So the tour is essentially splitting into two separate series. There is going to be the Champion Series, and there's going to be the Contender Series. How this is going to work this is going to be 23 to 24 events on both tours, on both series, running consecutively. They will include the Players Championship, all the majors, the international teams events. They will run from February until August. It'll boast a purse. Each event is going to host a purse of about 20 million. So this actually might be some of that live money trickling back in, or whatever. Um, at that point, the fields will be approximately 120 players. No alternate lists. This is the more important one. No more sponsorship exemptions.
Aw.
Um,
No more Fred Couples at the Shell Houston Open?
yeah. It'll still be a standard season event, 72 holes, 32 hole cut to the top 65. What this is going to look like here is the Challenger Series is essentially going to be relegation, or it's going to be like the Truck Series in NASCAR. It's going to be the proving ground to allow you to move up. So it's going to be approximately 144 players. It's going to reduce the field size due to restrictions like daylight. It'll still be your standard tour format. Seven of the challenger events will occur during championship series off weeks, and what it's going to allow them to do, the top 90 finishers out of the champions series will be fully exempt for the following season. Those who fail to retain their membership, so out of the bottom 30, may risk regulation for the next year down to the challenger series, and then 20 players from the Challenger Series can have the opportunity to be promoted. If you win twice on the Challenger Series, you are automatically moved up into the Championship Series for the following year. So essentially, again, Michael, it is Champions League golf on a
Yeah.
worldwide scale.
Yeah, and the relegation, I think, is something that some of these players could, they'll make some money. To be very honest with you, win some tournaments. When you got Scotty and Rory and Wyndham and all these guys in the tournaments every week, you're not going to win. Have to go down. You could get a couple of W's under your belt. So it'd be nice to see some of these newer guys get a W. I like the relegation thing. I like the two different tours, basically. It's what they try to do with Live, but Live turned out to be just a money grab and a bloodbath.
The problem that I have, and my father brought it up, and I didn't really want to think about this, and the more that I think about it, I like the idea, but it also takes away now the element of the guy, the qualifier, or the guy who's ranked way off he's not in the top 50 or something. He doesn't have a chance to go out, and he can win a couple of tournaments, but he's not going to be able to play with the big boys maybe for another year unless he actually gets enough points to qualify. And it's also going to be it's going to be a staggered scoring system, much like, kind of like how NASCAR's gone to in the last few years. And the one thing that I do like is that as they get closer, there's going to be a last chance where you may actually see some of those guys at the top of the lineup that have a possibility of going up in the Challenger Series, and some of the guys worrying about possibly getting relegated in the Champion Series. They may end up actually having to play tournaments together. But they also said that there's the very strong possibility some of the final events of the year, maybe the last four, maybe the last six once we get into the FedEx Cup playoffs, match play.
Oh,
I like it.
I love match play.
Match play is just so much fun. I don't know if it's going to be tournament style or anything like, how we are at Firestone here in Akron every year. You'll probably still have some of your programs like your Pebble Beach and everything. So you'll probably get, a blending of those. I mean, people are saying Tiger now hitting 50, he's not going to go play on the Champions Tour. Essentially they're what they call the senior tour. But it's also now, if he actually decides he wants to come back and play, he's got to go play down in the Challenger Series because he's been away so long and all the points kind of get set at zero. He's not going out. He's not in the top 150 of the world golf rankings. He's not automatically he'll have his exemptions, for winning majors, or his lifetime exemptions, or whatever. Naturally at Augusta, he'll be able to play, but he hasn't won a U.S. Open in 10 years. He hasn't won a Players, in that time. So he's going to have to go back, possibly to qualify at that point. You could the worst thing would be is that if you're in the middle of the pack or in the bottom of the pack in the Challenger Series, you may end up having to go back to the Q School or possibly down to the Corn Ferry Tour, which has got to be so demoralizing for these guys. Golf is great when we have big names out there, but my only fear, Michael, by this is that it makes it very much like Champions League and it takes some of the elements of NASCAR and some of the elements of Champions League soccer and puts them all together, but it's the aspect that you do want the best players in the world week after week, granted, but you also, it makes the guy, on the bottom end of that have to work 3 to 4 times harder to get up to that level.
Yeah, it does. But let's see how it works. Because remember, a lot of the things that we're going through right now with golf, especially in the last few years, is that there's only 5 guys. 5 guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully this brings more.
Now you mentioned 5 guys.
Shut up.
Can I eat your kid?
No.
If you've seen the picture on social media, you'll understand what I mean by that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I say that in honor of your son.
I know you do.
Mike, we finish up tonight, at least the main portion of the show, with a fourth segment, and we're going to go on the diamond for a change. The the hardwood is done, the ice is done, and your boys, the boys of
Are
summer, your
done.
Mets, and everything else are basically front and center now for the next realistically 2 months, not counting NFL training camps opening here the end of next month. So, Mike, the floor is yours. Let's open it up.
Well, I'm going to say this. My boys are done. It's over. Keep the young kids. Get the hell rid of everybody else. It's unfortunate. It was a season I thought they could do something, and they have been bitten by the injury bug. If you look at their opening day roster, 3/4 of it is been on the IL. Guys like Jared Young are stepping up and playing well. And, the thing I wanted to talk about most, because we got Travis Bazana on there from the Guardians. The Mets' young outfield is something worth watching. The combo of Carson Bench, whether he plays left or right, and AJ Ewing in center. Jim, I got to tell you, being a Met fan my whole life, I love when they build this thing. My favorite moment of the 2015 World Series is after Cespedes got hurt, and 8 of the 9 players on the field for the Mets were homegrown. To see them have these two pieces makes me very happy. Now, if they could have other people around them playing better so they could win more, that'd be awesome too. Unfortunately, as a Met fan, I asked too much. But let's get to Mr. Bazana. The Australians came here and helped with the Scottish to take over the United States with the World Cup. But Bazana was taking over the American League Central long before that happened. The number 1 overall pick 2 years ago, if I'm correct, right?
Correct.
Has made his mark in Cleveland. As fellow Aussie Matthew Dellavedova once did. Hopefully he helps bring a title to the Gardos that they've sorely missed in 1948, so 78 years. I mean, listen, the Gardos have a shot. Detroit hasn't played well. Who's in first place in the Central right now? Is it them?
The Chicago
White
White
Sox.
Sox. They are mathematically tied right now after the White Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Guardians. And I heard it on Tony Rizzo's show on ESPN Cleveland's YouTube page this morning. They won yesterday. They had a 4-1 lead, gave up a homer in the 9th, held on 1-by-1 run, and it doesn't even feel like a win. It's not even the Cavs talk or anything, with the possibility of the major trades that could be coming there. It just doesn't even feel like it, with the fact that the Guardians are missing Chase DeLauter. They're missing Jose Ramirez until probably the end of July, very early August, with the surgery in his hand. Bazana's not exactly lighting the world on fire, but there's definitely a lot there to be proud of. In 50 games, he's hitting .261 with 7 home runs, 24 RBIs, and 82 total bases. He's also got 12 steals, which is tied with Brian Rocchio for second on the team. And this is what they were hoping to get out of him. A guy in the leadoff spot who can hit well for average and get on base and steal you some bases. He's not going to be like Kenny Lofton was, back with those great teams in the 90s. He's not going to be what they're hopeful he's a lot more closer to like Grady Sizemore, where he can also get some pop out of that. And let's see where this goes with him.
I like Bazana. I think it was a great number 1 pick. I think he accelerated through the minor league system exactly the way they thought he would. DeLauter's been great when healthy. Bazana, of course, Jose Ramirez is first ballot heading into Cooperstown when he hangs him up. The hamate bone's tough, though, man. Jim Thome went through it, of course. Lindor earlier this year had the same injury. Apparently, his was lingering from last year. He played with it down the stretch with that injury as well. But I have to tell you, I am more impressed with the way the Guardians have pitched again. Stephen Vogt, man, what is it about these catchers who end up being really good managers? He's phenomenal. I personally got hosed out of Manager of the Year again last year, but that's just me.
Yeah, Arguable. I mean, I don't want to say it's nearly as bad of a shaft job that, that Lindy Ruff got in the NHL, this year. Um, the Guardians right now, their biggest problem is they can't get any run support when Tanner Bybee's out there. Um, I mean, probably the best way I can quote this is
That boy is good. Good and terrible.
Is that one of the new ones you were telling me about?
Yep. It's so Bybee goes out and pitches a gem in Chicago the other night and they lose because they get no run support. I want to say Bybee is like, well, I've got the stats here in front of me. Tanner Bybee is 2-8 with an ERA of 3.78, still respectable, 81 strikeouts. He's given up 16 home runs. He's thrown 95 and a
Ooh.
third innings pitched. But the problem is they're getting no run support whatsoever when he is out there.
16 dingers and 95 innings doesn't help, dude.
Yeah, it's naturally this is going to show how many runs he's given up. So he's giving up 40 earned runs in 17 appearances, 2-8 in his decisions. So you're thinking 4 runs a game. Not great, but the problem is they're actually scoring like maybe 2.5 runs a game when he's out there. You know what it
Yeah, that's
reminds me
rough.
of? You know what exactly what it is. It's the problem that they had with Corey Kluber before they had to deal him.
Yes. I'm getting Jacob deGrom vibes. But Jim, the one thing I will say, if we can pivot back to put the pin in the guards for a minute. We were talking about New York crowds, Long Island crowds. Of course, New York, the Mets are on Long Island, being at that part of Queens. Did you see what happened last night in the 8th inning of their loss to the Cubs?
I did not. I've really kind of tuned out just about all baseball here with the finals and everything last week, and all the crazy moves that my Blues did in the NHL that we talked about earlier here. But go right ahead.
So the Mets as a team last night in game 2 of their doubleheader against the Cubs committed 6 errors. From what I'm reading, the majority of those came from people playing first base. The New York Mets crowd. Shut up. The New York Mets crowd serenaded David Stearns with Pete Alonso. Stab me in the heart, you bastards. He hit for 20 the other day, by the way. So yeah, I'm gonna commit a hate crime. Sorry. But yeah, it's been a very disappointing season for Met fans. When you look up and see, and I'm not talking about payroll because that's whatever. When you see the talent that they have and where they are in the depths of last place right now, it's very discouraging. Not even Gary, Keith, and Ron and Howie Rose's last season have made me listen or watch this team more than I have so far this season. I will do so more in September as we get to the end of Howie's tenure. But
oh shit,
exactly. But the one thing I did notice too, Jim, strikeouts are up again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to throw dirt on the Mets, but it's basically like I'm wondering if Gary, Ron and the gang are be like, I'm waiting for one of them if this keeps getting as bad as it is and it just keeps spiraling especially after the All-Star break that we hear, welcome back to Major League Baseball. Sort of.
If anyone did it, it would be Hernandez, and you and I both know it. But Jim, I saw again in some big moments in games recently, the strikeouts are up again. So I have a Big Rican stat of the week for you, sir.
Oh, do you now?
I do. And it's really 2 numbers, but let me give you a backstory why I looked this up. Recently,
really quick, isn't it so nice to actually have the chyrons working again?
it really is. I'm excited for the next segment. But I was going down a rabbit hole of different interviews coming off of the Cavaliers trip on YouTube, and I found one of Roger Clemens, and he talked about facing Tony Gwynn in the All-Star game and how they told him, throw him 95 down the middle. And he swung through it. Tony Gwynn swung through it. But the trivia question I have for you, Jim, around the numbers of the week is, what did he have more of? Strikeouts as a Major League Baseball player or assists as the point guard for San Diego State?
Assists.
He had 590 assists in college as the point guard at San Diego State. And in his 20-year big league career, he struck out 434 times. Now take out your calculator on your phone, kids. 434 divided by 20 is 21.7 times in roughly 500 to 600 plate appearances a year. Insanity.
That's like one a week.
That's like one every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, I bring up Tony Gwynn to now go into the thing that Jim and I have been talking about for over a year. As the collective bargaining agreement in Major League Baseball is coming to an end at the close of this season, both the owners and the Players Association have traded first offers for what they believe it should be. The owners are looking for a hard salary cap. The players are looking for a hard salary floor. I believe we will get some kind of combination of both. I believe that you will get a raising of or a lowering of where you pay into the luxury tax, and you will get a floor for where you have to spend on your roster. Having said that, Jim, you and I are on very different sides of this. I believe that a floor is the way it should go. You believe it's a cap. Your favorite sport's a cap sport.
Well, really, baseball is the only major sport out there that doesn't have a cap. I mean, even though the NBA's gone into the luxury tax and our favorite team is in the second apron, there's still maneuverability to be done. But go ahead and actually bring up what you were going to discuss, and I'll kind of actually make the reason why you and I are probably about as far apart on where we stand as where the players and the owners seem to be overall with this, regardless of the talks that came out of the last 48 hours.
Yeah, and the biggest issue that I have, and I know you're talking about with the free agents and the link shortening the amount of time if they change teams. I'm not against that, by the way. I think that's not a terrible idea. But again, my stance is this. You have owners in Tampa, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Milwaukee.
I don't know. The Brewers have really spent in recent years. They're not nearly in that level, but they're
Arizona.
They're up there.
Arizona,
Colorado.
And the biggest issue with these teams is that when Major League Baseball sends out their revenue reports, every team I just told you, with rare exception, makes money. And they're all in the bottom third of payroll, which means, by using your brain and deductive reasoning, the owner is lining his pockets instead of putting the money back into the organization and putting the money back into the payroll. Very famously, Steve Cohen in 2022, the Mets made a ton of money because they had a really successful year. What did he do? He put every dime back into payroll, bringing in players, and it didn't work. So they sold dudes off. They rebuilt the farm system, and in 2024, made money again and did the same thing. The Dodgers religiously put the money back into the organization. I mean, it's not even the fucking Yankees do that. They're the biggest scumbags on the planet. So that's my problem. My problem is you own a baseball team, you complain about the economics, but your payroll per year is made by the TV deals before merch, tickets, food, anything else, any sponsorships that you get for having the ballpark. I mean, come on, as much as we laughed at Major League 2 when they had the Chico's bail bond sign out in the in left field. I know I just mixed Bad News Bears and Major League 2, but still, every ballpark has advertisements all over the place now that is getting revenue from. I mean, you remember that started with when in New York and certain places, San Francisco had Gap on the wall on the in the gaps.
Yep.
So that's my problem, and it's don't cry poverty when guys who have more money in their own personal wealth than you, I get that, are taking every dime and putting it back into the franchise, or they're not being successful with their choices. They're losing money and they're still putting into the franchise. I think the first thing you have to do is you have to penalize owners. It's the first thing you have to do. And then you can work from the top down.
Yeah, but the problem with this and the proposal that we're talking about here, it's from the league. It includes raising the minimum salary from 780,000 to 1 million in 2027 for players with at least 2 years of service time. And I'm actually quoting an ESPN report from Jesse Rogers that came out just before 3:00 this afternoon Eastern time. Any player with 0 or 1+ years of service will receive 1 million if they receive the full year of service. And then it's the largest increase in MLB history, according to league data. Additionally, players who reach 5 years of service of time by age 30 would be eligible for free agency, a provision the union first put forth as part of its own CBA proposal a couple of months ago. Currently, players of any age need 6 years of service time before becoming a free agent. The league also proposed eliminating deferred contracts as well as qualifying offers, but didn't ask changes for the arbitration system. This deferred thing, I think, is definitely one thing that they really need to worry about hammering out and getting rid of this, because this is where it comes back to where you and I are this far apart. You're a proponent of a salary floor. I'm a big proponent of a salary cap. There is a big rumor going around now and where we actually said it was the world's worst kept secret, that Giannis was going to get traded in the NBA. The world's worst kept secret in baseball right now is, where is Tarek Skubal going to end up if the Tigers continue where they are, even after him coming back? Because apparently, even after they came back, the Tigers forgot how to hit in 2026. There were The rumors were that there were about 5 or 6, maybe 7 teams that he could end up with. And then when you really kind of get down to the brass tacks and the idea of it, there were only 3 front runners: the Dodgers, the Brewers, and the Yankees. The Brewers may not go out and spend that kind of money, which actually leaves New York and the Dodgers, who already have a record payroll, are coming off of back-to-back World Series titles. And if he ends up in either one of those places, Michael, it may end up killing the fan interest in baseball unless you're in those markets completely.
I agree with you 100%. Now, the big thing I want to see is getting rid of the deferrals, because let's be honest about something. If you get rid of the deferrals and you lower the threshold for the luxury tax, the Dodgers aren't doing what they're doing. They're not.
I mean, Ohtani. Sorry about that. And if it looks like there's a jump cut, my camera reset, and then when it came back on, it muted my microphone. But the idea here is that, can we argue that maybe Otani might be the greatest all-around player we've ever seen, even if he's only been in the majors for as short of a time as he has been? Um,
Yeah.
You know, we know that Tony Gwynn is probably the greatest pure hitter we've ever seen in our life, and that's also taking into, Griffey into account, taking in Ichiro. Um, nobody's he may not have had the sweetest swing, but he definitely was the most consistent. And the way that they've got him deferred, you're wearing the colors of a team that is still paying a guy 8 more fucking years on a contract when he retired over 20 years ago.
Listen, Bobby Bonilla Day is next week. It's hilarious. I don't have a problem with Bobby Bonilla because of what it led to. But remember also, this isn't just the Mets and the Dodgers did this. Remember, Ken Griffey Jr. came off the Reds payroll last year. Bruce Sutter came off the Braves payroll the year he died. Again, going back to the Mets, Rusty Staub was paid out by the Mets till the day he died as well. He last played for the Mets in 1985. He passed away on opening day 2018. So it's not something that's new. I get that. But when you have a team like the Dodgers who have a player of that caliber who set a record for AAV on a contract, and the Dodgers only have to report $2 million to him a year, it's not cool. It's not. Kyle Tucker's almost entire contract is deferred. Are you fucking serious? So, I mean, that's my problem. Make fun of the Mets all you want. They're paying their dudes fucking now. The Dodgers will have a $750 million payroll in 7 or 8 years, and half the dudes won't be on the team.
As in now?
We're looking at now.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life.
It's like something someone have on their luggage.
Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the YZ Translator. It is the best segment of the night because it's the last segment of the night. It is that time when James and I give each other names inside or outside of the sports world, and the first thing that pops into our brains is what we tell you, and it has finally happened. We have figured it out. Well, I didn't figure shit out. So Jim has finally figured it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the return of the Chronicle. Shut the fuck up. You are killing me.
Gotta make you think for that one for a second.
For those of you who don't understand, a group of crows is called a murder. You asshole. Oh, I saw one the other day on TikTok real quick. And the guy says, how do you tell a crow from a raven? And he goes, a black crow sounds like this. Hey, pretty thing, let me let you can of goes. And he goes, and a black crow sounds like this. And it was fucking Ray Lewis. I thought that was great.
Can we not do that right now?
Thank you. I'm going for Cal Ripken's streak with that fucking thing coming to me for something stupid I say.
God, I hate you so much.
You do. So, James, as it is incumbent upon me to give you the first name in tonight's YZ Translator, I'm going to go here to somebody we've spoken about a few shows ago, but I'm going to ask you what his thoughts are now. And that is now I can't play anywhere quarterback, Brendan Sorsby.
I apologize if this is going to land me a copyright strike, which I know YouTube has pretty strict rules about. And I also apologize for my hair as it's been sitting under this hat for the last 3 hours tonight. Oh, Canada. Our
Come play for the Argos, eh?
I mean, the Alouettes are coming off a Grey Cup.
Listen. Okay. Bigger Texas bust. Sorsby or Johnny?
Sorsby, because at that particular point, he never even got to the show.
Very true.
I mean,
very true.
He never even got the chance to play at Texas Tech. He shot himself in the foot. Basically, what we saw, we've talked at length about him, and then he decides 4 days after the judge's ruling comes down, basically reinstating his eligibility, he decides he's going to go into the NFL supplemental draft and declare, making the entire litigation completely pointless. And then the NFL, just in the last 48 hours, said, yeah, we're not going to hold a supplemental draft this year. You got to wait a year for this. And now his attorney's basically looking to actually, get the NFL to overturn that ruling, where that actually means he can't go play in college. He can't be an undrafted free agent now. I mean, conceivably, could he? That's the one thing I actually haven't heard about at this point, because he's already signed with an agent. He can't go back to school. No, even if he transfers, no one's going to take him. He's either going to end up going to play. He's going to have to actually look to Canada, or he's going to have to sit for a year. He's damaged goods. He's shot. This was the NFL sending a message.
Yeah, that's why I did the.
We shit the bed with some of these other guys in the past. We're making an example out of you. We tried to do what we could with Calvin Ridley with the gambling. We've seen the NBA break guys off permanently for this. We're going to stop this before it even becomes a thing. And as much crap as we give the NFL, they could not have gotten this one any more correct.
That's basically why I was given the finger there. It wasn't at you. That was I was representing Roger Goodell, and the camera was representing Brendan Sorsby. I think this is the perfect answer for what he did. Not for nothing, Paul Hornung was a Notre Dame darling when the NFL was basically Notre Dame. The pipeline to the NFL was Notre Dame and a couple of other schools, and they suspended Hornung's ass for good. Same thing with Alex Karras. Alex Karras turned into Mungo and Webster's dad, but not everybody is Alex Karras.
Yeah, but let's also remember there was another side of Alex Karras that people really don't want to talk about.
That too. But no, this is the only thing I think the NFL could have done.
Michael,
there's anything else.
The Wisey translator tonight, we actually very, very briefly mentioned the franchise that this gentleman plays for, and I wanted to get your thoughts on him, as he's had himself a very, I don't want to say historic, but he is definitely a very bright spot in a very, very black cloud, an abyss of a baseball team, and that is Colorado Rockies blossoming, very, very talented young, on his way to becoming a superstar, Jake McCarthy.
How long before somebody sends Colorado more prospects to send him into either the Dodgers, the Yankees, or the Red Sox, the Mets? He's so good. So good. I mean, look, their last really good guy was McMahon, who they shipped to the Yankees because they aren't going to ever be any good ever again. So I think he's amazing. I love watching the kid play when he plays the Mets.
That inside the park homer he hit the other night was and then what, the two walk-off winners on back-to-back nights or something like that a week ago?
Yeah. And he started slow this year. He has picked it up over the last 6 weeks to a level that you're like, holy shit, this dude needs to be on my team because my team sucks.
I mean, he's hitting .296 with 5 home runs and 32 RBIs this year in 66 games. The Rockies are in last place right now, as a lot of people thought that they would, but this is not, I mean, the Rockies, yeah, they're 17 games under 500, but this time last year and the year before, they were like 30 games under 500. So this is definitely,
Yeah,
you know,
they were.
Colorado. I don't want to actually jump the gun and say like Colorado's going to end up being like, you know, Pittsburgh getting close or Cincinnati for being in the doldrums or what the Athletics are doing, even though they've kind of come back down to earth from their red hot start leading out in that division. You know, who knows if they're going to be able to continue with this as they get closer to going into Vegas here in the next 2 years. But this is definitely, I got to admit, Mike, from what I've seen out of him in the last 3 weeks, it has piqued my interest because I used to be a Rockies fan. You know, back in the 90s, when they first kind of started up, that purple and black was just awesome. That's part of the reason why I want the LA Kings to go back to that color scheme because that just looks so goddamn cool. Just like
It
with the
really does.
Sacramento Kings, you know, with them going back to that. But it's it's very interesting to see, especially after, you know, McMahon and I can't think of his last name, Charlie. Um,
It's not Charlie Blackmon. I know you're talking about. Do you know who
yes, it
plays
was
third
Charlie
base for them?
Blackmon. It was Charlie Blackmon, who was
Do you know who
who was
plays third base for them?
Eric Karros' kid.
Eric Karros' kid.
Yeah. And then and the big mistake that they made with the Chris Bryant deal, you know, this is hopefully something that the Rockies are kind of done trying to put asses in seats and not trying to go the White Sox route of basically putting out a minor league team. They've got talent. They're hopefully going to be a lot more athletics and a lot less White Sox.
Well, I mean, the White Sox suck for a few years, and now they're mathematically in first place in the Central. So,
For now.
yeah. So, James, we are off, and it's not just in honor of our country's 250th birthday next week. It's because, quite honestly, we take every 4th of July off now, don't we?
Yeah. And that date is incorrect. That did not update from the
That's
last
this show.
Yeah, I was going to say that did not update properly from when I set this up for the live show last week. So our next show will actually be, as I'm fixing this on the screen, will be July the 11th. So we will be off next week.
Yeah, and that show, we will have to really get into what that format is going to be and how we're going to do it because, Jim, we will be at the halfway point of the Major League Baseball season as we go. We are going to do on the 11th. On the 14th is the All-Star game. The 13th, of course, the Home Run Derby. That will be during the weekend. As everything is in Philadelphia this year. By the way, see they changed the Home Run Derby format?
I did not, although it is something that I think I am going to tune into Netflix because as much as we actually rail on Netflix, they've really their sports coverage is very good in the last couple of years.
It really is. It really is.
Minus
that
god awful MMA fight 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was dog shit. I'm going to look forward to that because I was worried I wouldn't be able to watch it because I don't have ESPN anymore because I don't have with the TV breaking, I don't have the YouTube TV. But with it being on Netflix, it's on the Xbox. So we will see you guys in a couple weeks. We will let you know before then how the show is going to go, whether it's going to be a live hit because we usually do the Big Weekend Baseball show coming around the All-Star break. Just not sure if that's how we're going to rock and roll, but we will get to you guys and let you know exactly how we're going to handle things moving forward. So, Jim, another good one, my friend.
Although it actually, you know, this time it was on me not trying to get my equipment and then the modem having to reset when we were taping the first segment of the show and everything else kind of running long at that point. We did not have to knock anybody out. That's between Michael and myself tonight.
Oh, no, I'll say it. We were supposed to record this on Wednesday, not Thursday. Bobby wouldn't go to sleep. That's the knocking out line. That's fine. Everybody who's got kids that watches our show understands that you got to knock your kids out sometimes. I'm going to go knock the cat out for scratching on the wall when I get done with this here.
So next, this is honestly, this might be the last weekend I've got to myself probably until the end of July. So next weekend's the 4th of July. I plan on actually going out and doing stuff with the long weekend. We've got probably one of the most entertaining sporting events of the entire year also happening, and that is Coney Island
Yeah.
with the Nathan's contest that we already know that Joey Chestnut is going to end up winning in a walk. The weekend after that, that show coming to you on the 11th. Michael knows that I have instructed every single person I work with and talk to and associate with, family, friends, all that. We all know that I am unreachable on the Indy 500. This year on the 11th, I am completely unreachable because that is the main day of TennoCon for the Warframe video game that I play. I will be watching 6 hours of live panels and programming note. There is a very distinct possibility I may end up streaming part of that on the JC Blue Note YouTube channel, which I've actually not referred to as the JC24 Sports Note, at least for YouTube purposes, kind of going forward, as I will be kind of getting into more reaction. So there's a possibility I may end up streaming a couple of panels on that the day of TennoCon, maybe not the Friday where TennoCon starts, and then just kind of see how that works, and then see if that, if that might be something that we can work with when Mike, myself, and our buddy John Rice take to Twitch to go to Super Battle Golf later this summer.
This sounds like it's going to be epic. My favorite part of July is I'm off next week, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 6th. I am then again off the 15th, 16th, 17th of July because we were supposed to be having some family come down and that trip has been scrapped. So I'm just going to take a few days and relax because do you know what happens 2 weeks after that, James? School starts. That's Mama's dance, not mine.
The happy dance.
I am so happy we do the dance of joy.
Now I want to go watch basketball.
I want to go watch Perfect Strangers.
One of these days, I'm actually going to get down there and I'm going to play a little Bucci tag with Bobo.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. But we will see you guys we will see you guys just before the All-Star break in Major League Baseball. Have a great week. Happy 4th. And for JC Blue Note, I am Big Rican signing off saying, see you next time.
It might actually replace the screaming sheep.
Oh, Jesus.
No, it won't. Good night.
Good night.